The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in the podcast belong solely to the hosts and not the host's past, present, or future employers. Hello, everybody. Okay, good. All right. Everything works. Huzzah! Yeah. So it's a good Saturday or Sunday.
It is Sunday.
Yes, it is in fact Sunday. And yeah, my weekend's gone by quickly. So I'm Bryan Brake. This is Amanda Berlin. This is Mr. Boettcher, breaking down security. For those of you who are listening on the audio podcast, I just pointed left and down.
Hopefully you can tell who we are by our voices.
Yeah, I'm Bryan Boettcher. Mr. Boettcher said, I can't even do the joke right. How are y'all doing?
Swell. I'm actually going to be on vacation for all this week, so I'm very happy.
Really?
Wow.
We're gonna be like ships passing in the night. You go on vacation this week, I go on vacation the next week, the 9th to the 15th. Yeah. Where are you going?
Atlanta.
Okay.
That sounded like a question, like
Atlanta.
you're not
Atlanta.
quite sure. Okay.
It wasn't our first choice, but it's cheaper, so we're driving.
So what? It's like, well, what was the first option? It's like Paris, France. Oh, we have to settle for Atlanta.
We were gonna go to the Bahamas.
Oh, okay, well, that's not bad either.
You know, when you spend a very large chunk of money on lawyers over the last few months, there goes all your vacation plans.
Well, to be fair, Bahamas, you get sand everywhere, and
right?
It's hard to get out.
Yeah, you can't beat a good defense attorney.
Yeah. I've been to Bahamas. Once you've seen the sand, it's the same sand everywhere.
Right. I've seen pictures.
Yeah, you can find a nice sandbox or something in Atlanta if you want.
I'm sure
sand or something.
I'm sure.
I tell my wife, I tell my wife it's not going anywhere. Bahamas isn't going anywhere. You can always, go anytime.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry you're not gonna get to go to the Bahamas, but we're going to DC and then we're going to New York. So
that's good.
We're taking a train. We're gonna do the DC thing. Yeah.
As long as you're not taking a train from where you're at now to DC, because that takes forever.
Oh yeah, no. We fly.
That's you realize how large the United States is when you go somewhere via train.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we don't take trains. We've taken trains from like Geneva to Paris, Gare du Nord, but it was high speed. It was the TGV stuff, so it was somewhat faster. So, but yeah, we don't do Amtrak here. But yeah. So, Mr. Boettcher, how are you doing? You've had some bad weather just recently, I see.
Have I? No, it's been cloudy like the entire week, but no bad weather.
Oh, okay. What was I thinking? Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking of Little Rock. They had a tornado in Little Rock, Arkansas, United States. If there's a middle to America, that's about as close as you can get to middle of America. So, we had every possible precipitation today. We had snow, we had hail, we had rain, we had more snow, we had sunlight, we had clouds. Hey, Digital Warhead, thank you for the subscription. Appreciate that. But yeah, it's been a real weekend. We had our open house, as I was telling Mr. Boettcher and Miss Berlin before. Put our house on the market on Thursday. By Friday, we had 4 showings. This for Saturday and Sunday, we had 2 hours worth of showings, and it was pandemonium. I was creeping on people with my Ring camera in the house, which I highly recommend doing if you're selling your house.
Oh, I did when I sold my house.
I'm not endorsing Ring cameras by any way, shape, or form, and I think this is a 1984 nightmare, but it's great. God, now I feel like I'm advertising and shit. But you could listen in on some of the conversations, which, there's a blue light. So there was a blue light. So it's not like I'm hiding shit. I wasn't hiding shit. If somebody said, "Hey, who's the idiot on the camera?" I would have said, "Hi, it's Brian. I'm one of the homeowners. Thank you for that."
Yeah. I did it because
any-
like my cats were at home every time
Right.
it got shown and I wasn't. And I'm like,
Right.
I don't want them to let my cats out or whatever. So
Yeah, right. So I got this for our cats actually, and then we're going to go to New York and DC. So I'm like, I'd like to be able to see if our cats are doing okay.
right.
And we also told the realtor we don't want people in our house while we're on vacation. So if this lights off with motion detection and we see somebody coming in our house, I can go, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing in my house?"
Right.
So yeah, digital warhead. Yeah, juicy conversations. Somebody, there was somebody from Texas who said, "Oh my God, I can't believe that we're going to have to pay this much money for this kind of house," because our house is selling for around at 900K and it's a 2,000 square foot house. So I'm sure in Texas you can get about a 3 million square foot mansion. But it's it is what
Same
it
as
is.
here. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
that's
Oh,
what
and they didn't.
happens. Like I
Yeah.
paid $320 for my house and it's got 5 bedrooms and a yard and it's got like everything, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you're paying for, the close proximity to Seattle, you're paying for, West Coast, and everything that comes with it. So, yeah, the interesting thing was hearing some of the discussions outside too, because I have a Ring camera outside as a deterrent to keep dogs from pooping on my lawn, which actually works. And, some of them were very interested in the place, but it's like, when you're recording, when there's movement, the blue light comes on solid. When you're watching it, because I've watched myself in my living room, it blinks. So if you're looking at it,
okay.
it blinks. But yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it was just interesting to see the people that were coming in. It was nice to see families. There was two gentlemen coming in with their kids. We saw several people who obviously were not from the area because the first thing they said was, "Oh my God, I can't believe we're up here in Seattle." And so that was a pretty good indicator. But yeah, it was a good cross section, and we just don't want to sell to a soulless corporation. We want to sell to a family, if at all possible. So, but yeah, so we're hoping to get an offer before we go on vacation. And but yeah, I think realtors should mention these to people if they want to be able to watch it. Plus, it was helpful because I left all my stuff on my desk, my SLR here and my microphone, and I could see people walking into my office, and I was like, "Oh God," I was skeeved out that somebody's going to take my camera. That was the big thing. So, but they did pretty good and kept a handle on that, and it was a pretty good experience. So we're hoping somebody will want to buy our house. So.
Nice.
Digital Warhead. Well, he doesn't have to pay that much. That's the great thing about Choice. You're welcome to buy something in the 300K range. Not in the Pacific Northwest, you won't, or at least not close to where you might work in Seattle or what have you. Yeah, I mean, Snoqualmie is Snoqualmie because you're 20 minutes from skiing, you're 40 minutes from Seattle. It's got good schools. It is what it is. And we're leaving to go to a better climate. So we just had snow today on April 2nd. Yeah. Anyway, I know that we're losing listeners on the podcast left and right. So just by listening to me in my open house talk. So time to get to some news. So let's go see what we got. What do y'all want to talk about first?
I mean, we might as well talk about the big thing that everybody's talking about, the 3CX stuff.
Okay. So I posted a link in our chat on Twitch. If you want to join on LinkedIn, we're also watching this on YouTube, so that's all available. 3CX. Okay, so for me, 3CX was like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it does. Why do I care? And normally anything that comes out in the news about, this is the worst thing ever, I automatically pass it to our team inside and my company because I'm like, we probably use everything under the sun. I don't know if we did, but this was so much of a meh that I didn't actually send this along to anybody. So what is 3CX? Does anybody, okay, so anybody in our chat here watch or use 3CX? So let's click, there we go. So the story is this software, which I found out is a SIP phone client for like VoIP solutions for PBX. They retained Mandiant, which is owned by Google now, to investigate supply chain attack attributed to North Korea. I believe they called it, the CrowdStrike folks are calling it something Colima, Chollima. What is it called?
What's
Labyrinth
Kalima?
Colima.
I thought they called it Lazarus.
No. The threat actors out of North Korea, and CrowdStrike calls them Labyrinth Colima. Right there. And they named the countries or the nation state actors after animals, and I think this is a weasel or something that lives in that area of their country. What I didn't know, and I had seen some things on Twitter, was there had been some discussions that this affects. There's at least 100. They found detections in 179 countries, different countries, not 179 in one country. They found 179 different countries, which is pretty much everybody in the UN uses 3CX in some way, shape, or form. Some company or some
there's only like
organization.
200 countries total, isn't there?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, as many people as the Olympics probably. I think United Nations probably has more, but you're absolutely right. But yeah, it's crazy, this system. I figured it was being used by like call centers or something, but so here's some IOCs from CrowdStrike as well. They say the signed MSI is malicious. The MSI will drop 3 files, primary fulcrum being the compromised library ffmpeg.dll. There's looks like an MD5 hash there. I'll pop these in our show notes as well so everybody can check those out.
Yeah, I also put the Sigma rule in there.
Okay. Orange Cyber Defense. Okay. Yeah, we got a lot of links to the 3CX stuff because, I'm sure it's important. Yeah, the Unit 42 stuff. I want to see if it was. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so it was in the Unit 42 write-up. Widely used across the globe, our Cortex Expanse product that Unit 42 creates was able to fingerprint 247,277 distinct IP addresses in 199 countries that are using the 3CX application. So it's not 179, 199 countries. So yeah, that's where I saw that write-up when I was looking for it. So yeah, kind of a big deal, I guess. One of those little pieces of software that everybody uses that nobody thinks about until it's completely owned.
Right. I've never heard of it before.
Yeah.
Me neither. I like how it waits for 7 days until it reaches out to GitHub and starts to communicate.
Yeah. So why does it do that? Is it because, ideally you want to wait for the infection to happen and like let some time go by before it actually does something, so you're like caught off guard?
Yeah, I think so. I think it just sits there for a while and doesn't. So the attribution won't be known for some time, right? Maybe the logs will roll, things like that. Or, okay, this system's infected. What happened in the last 24, 48 hours? No, you have to go way back 7 days before you find it. And so that'll give the attackers a little more time before they, before the victims become aware of who is doing the attack, right? And what and what they did to actually get the infection in the first place. And it'll take them a while to attribute it to this 3CX desktop app, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll take a while for them to figure it out.
Right. So according to SiliconANGLE, which is the site that I'm looking at right now, they say products from CrowdStrike, SentinelOne, and other antivirus providers are automatically blocking the client, which is great. I guess that's being a proactive thing where CrowdStrike, SentinelOne, and all of them are trying to head off any additional infections that may occur. And the chief executive officer reportedly advised customers to uninstall the application. So even the own CEO of the company is like, "Oh, our bad. Go ahead and uninstall that." It's easier said than done.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, go ahead and do that, but you're going to be impacting everyone's operation. Like, what do we use now? You know, like today you can't use Zoom. Okay, just don't use Zoom anymore. You know, like, don't use Slack. Slack,
right? And like
Slack
a lot of times the other competitors' stuff is blocked somehow, right? The app blocker or whatever, DNS blocking, what? Yeah, I've run into that before where I've tried like with the training that we do, we're like, oh yeah, like this is super easy, like everybody just accesses like our training material on Google Drive and we do this and this and this. Like, oh well, if you're accessing it on our company laptops, like we can't access Google Drive and we can't get to Discord and we can't get to this. I'm like, oh my gosh. It just, you couldn't imagine if it was just like one of your business critical applications.
Yeah.
So I'm not seeing where uninstalling is going to cure the malware. Now it may prevent it from updating, obviously, but once you get the update, I think you're hosed.
No, I thought uninstalling did work. Maybe not.
It says that it downloads a secondary or a tertiary PE file, which is the actual payload.
You, Amanda, okay, you have the 3CX applied. Okay, so I'll put this link to this like an imager or something. Can we share this link?
I found it on Twitter, so I guess.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll post this link up in somewhere, like put it on Imager or something so people can gain access to it in the near term. But this is the supply chain attack for Imager or for 3CX. And you can follow along if you're on the audio podcast, looking in the show notes for the information to this. So, so there's 3 different versions. So 18.12.416, 407, and 402, and then 18.11.1213 DMG files. So these are at least the Apple version of all of these. If there's a Windows version, that's great. Oh, thank you at Frogger, FR0GGER_ Thomas Rocha for the picture. Give him proper credit, or give that person proper credit for generating this. So the compromise certificate is from the 11th of April 2019, valid for the next 5 years to 2024. So you can take a look at your compromise certificates. This is all for Apple and Mac stuff. So the picture will not necessarily work for you if you are using a newer version. It's interesting. So FFmpeg shows up in a lot of things, right? I just read some information about X264 vulnerabilities that had come up where there's major issues there in FFmpeg, and anything that uses these libraries is going to run into problems. So it's interesting to see FFmpeg being yet another vector for vulnerabilities. They use the DLL for that to make it happen. So interesting. So what do they say to do to eradicate this? Miss Berlin, you said you had some IOCs, you had there were some MD5 hashes that your team had found.
Yeah, I mean, they're in one of the write-ups. Let me see if I can grab the right link of the write-up, but there's about a dozen of them. Like this is, I have another image that I can share too, but I guess the attackers did have like a code signing cert that they were using. So it was I know I had a link to the virus total information on it because they have that cool like process tree thing of like this is the hashes that are involved and the IP addresses and
Right.
let me see if I can get that too.
So the CEO said that Google has invalidated our software security certificate. This is as of 31 March. Means the MSI desktop app files that we released yesterday afternoon can no longer be downloaded via Google Chrome or nor can the originally infected MSI files. Further, several AV vendors are now blocking any software signed with the old security certificate. We're going to make new MSI installers with a new certificate. It'll take at least 8 hours. We've decided to build a completely new build server. Oh, wow. I wonder if that means they were completely owned up inside their development environment at that point, if they had to create a new build server. So, wow. We repeat, we recommend using our PWA, the Progressive Web App. So, Progressive Web App application is completely web-based and does 95% of what the Electron app does. Oh, okay. Well, that's the fact that it's an Electron app too is probably not a good thing either. The advantage is that it does not require any installation or updating, and Chrome Web Security is applied automatically. So that's the workaround.
So if you use a Mac, you're safe, right?
Yes.
Well, it's
no. You're not.
Yeah.
if you use the Chrome version or the Progressive Web app, you're good because there's some additional sandboxing that happens in the browser, and the Electron app is very much not good. So don't use that. Yeah, this definitely puts 3CX in a light they probably didn't expect. Very much so. I don't even know what you would use. Let's say, it's time to renew a contract and it's like, well, 3CX is obviously garbage, so let's use someone else. You're not going to rip this stuff out. So, yeah, I don't know. So, Mr. Boettcher, you were right. They said this included beginning the infrastructure controlled by an outside threat actor, hands-on keyboard activity, and deployment of a second stage payload. So you're right. I don't think uninstalling it's going to necessarily fix the issue. There may be some additional bits that get added to your system that will run shellcode to install a backdoor into targeted systems, allowing additional malware to be loaded on the victim's machine. So they uninstall the software, but the shellcode and the backdoor is still on the system, and they can still feed more malware into it. So ideally, you'll have to work with your AV vendor, your EDR systems to get additional.
You shouldn't have said that because false sense of security, right? Oh, I uninstalled it. I should be good now.
Right. Especially the CEO saying do that. Oh, well, that'll fix the issue because the CEO said so.
Yeah, just use the Chrome app. You'll be fine. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't have much more to say about this because, like I said, I never heard of this. It sounds like that CrowdStrike and them and others have pulled they've pulled it out here and they're got it in hand, and 600,000 corporate customers worldwide.
It's just so many.
Crazy.
Is that worse than SolarWinds?
I at least heard of SolarWinds. Let me see. SolarWinds breach or malware. SolarWinds malware. Let me see what the final numbers were on that. SolarWinds hack explained everything you need to know. Oh, I hate technology. Damn it. I mean, I don't.
Explicit warning.
Don't worry. We'll cut this out later.
No, we won't. Who edits podcasts?
It's just the janky bits that it just feels like a very skeevy website sometimes. There's some things in there that I do like out about it, but I don't think there's any numbers actually here on this. Let me see. Attack began with a tiny strip of code. I don't think they have a postmortem on how many people were affected by it, but I know that The thing is, though, when SolarWinds happened, everybody knew immediately, oh my God, this is a thing. If you use 3CX, then yeah, you're probably affected by it. But, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
And our lurkers and our viewers here, are but a small subset, and probably we're not affected by this either because, we tend to use Zoom or what have you. So, or, people use Skype and to replace, that, or Teams or whatever. So,
I'm not as interested in this attack as I am how 3CX got compromised and when, and what the attackers did and were allowed to do. Obviously, we knew what they were allowed to do, but there's got to be more to that story.
Oh yeah.
That we haven't heard. And like, how long were they there? What do they know now? I mean, they have to have all the source code and all that. I imagine this took quite a while.
Well,
to get this
their
right.
CEOs,
You'd hope it took quite a while.
Right. Their CEO said they're building a new build server, so it makes it sound like
their whole build infrastructure.
Yeah, either build infrastructure or the developers got hit or somebody in IT. I mean, there was obviously some kind of initial infection vector where they were able to get in and gain access to a build server. Now, whether or not they needed to rebuild the build server, I don't know. But the fact that they were able to compromise the certificates as well means that they were able to inject the certificate into the build process to be trusted. So there's some additional bits there that sound like need to be fixed. So they're
and I'd like to know what their security posture was like. Were they audited? What security software they were using? Because obviously they installed it on their own systems to test before they released it, and none of their detections went off. Right. I believe maybe they knew that their build process, once they released it and tested it, was less than 7 days, something like that. So maybe that's why there was that 7-day wait. They couldn't detect the malware before they released it, because there was that time bomb in there.
Yeah.
So, I'd really like to know those details.
I always want to know those details, and then you rarely get them.
Yeah, the CEO definitely isn't going to be giving them. Yeah. And depending on how many people are actually affected in the United States, it'll, you may have to dust off his, congressional testimony suit and, set his date from last number of days since I've testified in front of Congress to 0, and everything. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, good picture, y'all. I like to have a picture for the podcast so that when people look at us, we're all smiling and everything.
So. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Otherwise it's like, sometimes when there you go.
Sometimes when the stream starts, whatever picture that takes, I'm like, oh, that's terrible.
I need to fix I need to fix it on Twitch and YouTube and put a different picture on there, because sometimes it's me going.
Yeah, how can people watch us talk? I don't understand.
Exactly.
Any freeze frame just looks so absolutely like none of us should know how to work technology.
Well, what I actually need us to do is stop talking and just have a neutral pose, like we're like.
Look at my nose.
10 seconds of silence.
Yeah, I used to do that quite a bit before we started recording audio. But okay, so I'll take the next one because this kind of goes into it. So CISA, according to cybersecuritydive.com, has a pre-ransomware notification. Come on, load.
What's that mean?
Oh, there we go. So CISA, or CISA, it stands for the Cyber something government something
agency.
There's no G in there.
Look, a really long weekend.
Security agency?
It stands for something, and this is an annoyance of mine. It's like, here's a whole article where they don't even explain what the hell CISA is.
Well, I mean, yeah.
If I'm Joe Nobody, and apparently I am, CISA stands for Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. There you go. All right. So,
Okay.
oh no, that's something else. Let me see. Scroll. There you go. All right. So the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Oh wait, there it is. My bad. Cybersecurity and Shut up. Shut up. What you can't see is Miss Berlin laughing at me and snorting in derision at my idiocy. So they have created.
I was just waiting for you to say the same thing the third time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are we live?
I think we're live.
No, we're not.
People watch this,
Yeah.
right? All right.
No, this is it's all this isn't real.
Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, we're just this is the prep for the real show.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're pulling in tips from cybersecurity researchers, infrastructure providers, and threat intelligence firms to notify victim organizations of early stage ransomware activity. So this is yet another hey, almost like a storm warning or storm watch. It's like, hey, people in your industry have been hit by malware. Maybe you should, take a look at that or something.
Oh, so they're not like telling individual organizations, hey, you have stuff happening, you're going to be ransomware. They're just being like, oh, this has been stuff that we've seen.
Proactive.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So, when early warnings about malicious activity can bolster an organization's ability to significantly limit the impact of a ransomware attack, said Chester Wisniewski, field CTO of Applied Research at Sophos. When organizations take action in early stages of a threat actor's intrusion, more often than not, they are able to prevent the ransomware attack and data exfiltration. So what they're trying to do is go, hey, private sector sharing indicators of compromise, CISA emphasize sharing indicators of compromise, encourage organizations and individuals to report malicious activity quickly so they can notify other potential victims quickly. So yeah, it sounds like it almost sounds like an ISAC or something like that.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out like, how is this different than an ISAC?
Well, if you switch the letters for CISA around, it becomes ISAC. So I just realized that when I looked at CISA and ISAC. And I was like, oh, yeah.
There are a lot of the same words.
It's a lot of same words. Right. Yeah. I have a thought about one of those things that came up today. We were talking about that on Twitter about ISACs and sharing information. And some companies don't want to share with the government.
Right.
Some people don't know what that will do. I think there's still probably a stigma around reporting, hey, we've been owned up by ransomware or we've been affected by ransomware. Whether or not CISA keeps telling you, hey, we're not really the bad guys here, you're still a governmental organization. And they're going to have to spend some more time building trust there, and that may be why ISACs are better, because they're a non-governmental organization, or they're not governmental, not non-governmental, because that's a different thing. An NGO is different. But I mean, it still requires trust, right? That they'll take your information.
ISACs were government, though.
Sorry?
I thought the ISACs were government related.
No, I don't believe so. ISACs. That is not what I want. The Latin School of Chicago? What? I'm just batting a dozen today. So there's actually the National Council of ISACs. So it's a cross-sector partnership for sharing cyber and physical threats.
Oh, no, it's just a nonprofit.
Strategies. Yeah.
Okay.
They're just nonprofits. Yeah. A lot of them, like the one we talked with, K-12-6, is an educational ISAC. And it's just, I don't want to say just a couple dudes, but it's, those guys are getting together and trying to get educational organizations in the education sector to collaborate and cross.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is what I was thinking of. It says sector ISACs began forming in 99, subsequent to the May 22nd, 98 signing of the U.S. Presidential Decision Directive 63, and the federal government asked each critical infrastructure sector to establish sector-specific organizations to share information about threats and vulnerabilities.
Okay.
So that's what I was thinking of. Like, I knew it had something to do with the government.
Right. Yeah. What, so, I mean, Mr. Boettcher and I think were members of like InfraGard at one time, which was laughable.
Me too.
When
It
I
wasn't
was
super fun.
last, yeah, when I was last at an InfraGard meeting, we were, the information we were getting from them was already outdated, and we were still getting stuff on Twitter like days before they actually sent out something that, had to
Yeah,
be tinted in certain ways. And
it's still true.
yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what InfraGard gives in terms of content, but I'm sure it's good. InfraGard is a
It's
kind
as
of an
it's
ISAC,
more filtered than Twitter.
right? Well, yeah, but the problem is sometimes by the time you find out something, you've already been infected, or there's no longer a threat because it's like, or it's so generic you can't action on it. It's like, oh, some sectors of some may be hit by some kind of malware that may be affected within the next certain time
Scrubbed.
period. It's
Right.
completely scrubbed in to be the point of completely useless.
You would think that being a member, when you had to go through all that crap in the beginning,
Yeah.
and it's super secret, 6-factor auth and all that stuff, and reading these encrypted files,
Yep.
you would think there would be something in there that was like, hey, don't tell anybody, but blah blah blah, got infected, and this is how you better watch for this. There's none of that, at least what I saw.
I couldn't even change my password without calling them every 60 days. And I was like, that's a pain
Yeah.
in my ass. I don't know if it's the same way anymore, but yeah, it just wasn't good. So I'm sure there's some people who swear by it and they even have like regular meetings, but it's like, I'm good.
You'd call them and an actual person would answer and say, oh, you need me to
Yeah,
change
that
your
was really
password.
weird.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good that they're trying to do something. I'm hoping that whatever they come up with, it says emphasize the importance of roles. While ransomware notifications can help, they're only effective if organizations trust the warning and take swift and appropriate action. So, Ms. Berlin, you're in threat intelligence. Should they wait for CISA to send out the alert, or should they, listen to what CrowdStrike and them, who are obviously more agile than the government is, to push out IOCs or Blumera or Threat Sentinel One or Unit 42?
I mean, a good combination of all of them doesn't hurt. I guess depending on your staffing and money situation, like free information from the government isn't going to hurt. I guess in this case. But like, I'd have to see what their like recommendations are, because I do feel like it might. I hope it's better than the InfraGard stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it is. I mean, some of the other stuff that they've done has been pretty good.
Yeah, I'm wondering how you sign up for it. Let me go see if I can sign up. CISA.gov.
Like they've released tools and information before this.
They do release tools.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's been pretty good.
Oh, they have a big fat, report a cyber issue in red on their website. Oh, okay. Let me see. Protecting your information post disaster. Jen East, I can't bag on CISA because Jen Easterly knows what she's doing. She's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
But it's
but
something they're going to have to solve.
Yeah, like if she was the entire organization, that would be different. But right. I'm sure they have more than just that.
So here's the ransomware vulnerability warning pilot program. Link in the chat here and in the show notes. Pop that in the show notes for everybody who's listening here. There we go. All right. So recognizing persistent threat posed by ransomware attacks to all organizations of all sizes, CISA announces the establishment of a ransomware warning pilot as authorized by Cyber Incident Reporting for Critical Infrastructure Act, CIRCIA of 2022. CISA will determine vulnerabilities commonly associated with known ransomware exploitation and warn critical infrastructure entities with those vulnerabilities, enabling mitigation before ransomware incident occurs. Okay. They will identify organizations with internet accessible vulnerabilities commonly associated with known ransomware actors by using existing services, data sources, technologies, and authorities, including our free cyber hygiene vulnerability scanning service. Organizations interested in enrolling can email vulnerability at CISA.dhs.gov. Okay, so they're going to use Shodan and mass scan, and they're going to find technologies that are exposed to the internet, like water control treatment plants and things, and go, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. Here's ransomware that says that's going to have that, or something like that. It's going to be something similar. They have a system, cyber hygiene vulnerability scanning service. Interesting. So they supply a vulnerability scanning tool at no charge. All right. Huh. I did not know they had something like that. That's pretty awesome. Shields Up. Oh, that's been taken. You can't use Shields Up. Anyway, I'm just kidding. So this is, I keep clicking on this accidentally. This is something from cybersecurity medical devices. There's new guidance about how to secure medical devices under the FDA or FD&C Act. I'll put this in the show notes only because I was morbidly curious about what they're trying to do, because the link I got for it came with a, medical devices need to be secured now. And I was like, you obviously don't know how people design medical devices or devices of any kind, because it's about a 2-year lead time to be able to secure said devices if it hasn't been built yet. What do we want to talk about next? We talked about 3CX. Let me see, what else? CISinternals. Y'all know a little bit about CISinternals, yeah?
A little bit.
Yeah, that one's at the bottom. I don't know if we can talk about that one, but it was just kind of interesting reading about Mark.
I would like to see that. Yeah, I would like to see that talk that he gave.
Yeah, I think the video's on the site, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there's a short,
Oh,
like a
there it is.
24-minute video that he gave.
I didn't scroll down far enough.
Yeah, so Mark Russinovich works at Microsoft.
Yeah, he's still the CTO of Azure.
Oh, okay, there you go. Earlier in his career, he started CISinternals. I think started with Windows XP. So you have things like Procmon, let me see, Sysmon, Process Explorer. These were some
Lots
of the
of
early
stuff.
tools. Yeah, some of the early tools used for malware analysis. And now obviously there's a lot more, but these are still things that are used, unfortunately, by bad guys as well. But it still uses 101 with sysinternal tools to be able to do
Troubleshoot,
analysis.
right?
Right. Yeah, PS exec delete is still being used by bad guys, but it was it's a secure delete tool that can be used for making sure that stuff is no longer available on the site. So yeah, there's a video, Life and Times of CISinternals, that is on YouTube on that site. What was the thing I was talking about? Estelle, where was it? So the idea of Process Explorer, Sysmon, and Procmon were to see how they interact with the OS, right? They track OS quirks as they interact with malware. That's the whole thing. They don't actually analyze the malware. You're observing what happens when you poke something, or when something gets poked by the malware. And I thought that was kind of interesting, because I've used Process Explorer a little bit, kind of just as a oh yeah, that looks cool and I can use that, but I've never actually used it to analyze malware. So that was an interesting little story. And if you want to understand a little bit about InfoSec history and Mark Russinovich talking about sysinternals, there you go. You can talk about that.
And it kind of touches on stuff that we've talked about before, like the abuse of really good tools by attackers.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We've definitely talked a little bit about that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I think he also wrote
Um,
that book, Windows Internals, which is a
Hmm.
really good book to help you develop Windows apps.
Yeah.
I have it and I've used it, and yeah, still applies today.
Windows Internals Part Two. What?
Well, part one, yeah.
Well,
I
apparently it's so big they have two parts. So
yeah, I didn't get part two because it hadn't come out when I was needing it, and I think it did it come out in 2019, something like that,
2021.
2018, 21. Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that was way later. So
There it is. Okay, so there's GitHub page for maybe this is the oh okay okay that's a copy that should not exist because it's somebody who just uploaded the PDF of the book to GitHub. So
No, of
I'm sure
course.
that's fine.
Happens all the time.
whoops.
Yeah, I know. I did not mean to do that. So sorry, Mark, if you're listening to our show. Cool if you're
I'm
listening to the
sure
show.
he's used to it.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, but
Tweet it.
there's maybe I will. But yeah, so there's oh my God, it is so yes, it is on it. All you have to do is search for that's why I put PDF on there, so Google's automatically showing me PDFs of his book. My bad. Well, I mean, if I can do it, then anybody else can do it too. There you go. Part one: system architecture, processes, threads, memory management, and more. So there's the book on Amazon for $28, Kindle on $28. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I'm sure many of the good malwarians either have read or have excerpts from that book.
That's true.
It's amazing. Yeah.
There you go. Make sure we get that in the show notes as well. Um,
Never read part two, like I said.
the sequel's not as
part
good as the
one's
original. Yeah, the sequels are
yeah.
never as good as the original.
Mm.
Sorry, Mark. Oh God, I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah. Cool. Yeah. So CISA I don't want to talk about OpenAI. I don't know why I put that one in there.
I wondered.
It was a payment data leak caused by an open source bug. So
Yeah,
I
I saw
found
that.
I found that it was an open source bug in Chat GPT OpenAI. A Redis client open source library bug was behind the outage for Chat GPT, and users saw other users' personal information in chat queries.
Yeah. I
Oops.
mean,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be putting anything sensitive in there anyways.
You know, it's like the new Grammarly, right? People. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen policy being so quickly enacted at companies than when they find out, oh, well, people are just uploading our code or asking for things. What I've wondered is, okay, so if this thing is taking like hey Chat GPT, tell me about tell me a way to create a wormhole, and then it's like, oh well, you've got secret project over here that somebody's working on that's trying to figure out how to make something work, and Chat GPT tells them. Then they have another company come in with things that they're telling that Chat GPT, and then a third company comes in and says doing this. Is it going to take information that it's gleaned from all these different sources, including secret stuff, and create a third option or a third thing for the third company to make? So, I mean, I could almost think of startups happening like this. Like, oh, tell me a good idea for a startup. And it's like, oh, well, I know about blah and I know about B. Take A and B and put them together and make C. And I'm like, oh, it's a good idea. So I don't know enough about ChatGPT. If you're banging your head against a wall because of my ignorance, I apologize. I just haven't had the time to go and get an account and futz with it. So besides, it doesn't
I
have an
use it
answer
a
for me
lot.
anyway.
I use it a lot, but I mean, I would never put anything in there that I didn't want just leaked.
What do you tell it? What do you tell it to do?
I mean, it helped me fix a whole bunch of regex and like SQL queries and stuff. I'm like, I want to do this with this and this. And I don't give it like real database names or anything like that. But
Okay.
if if like the fields we use in some database somewhere get out to the public, like who cares, right?
Right.
But and like my shitty regex that it had to fix for me, like that would be kind of embarrassing. But
Right.
yeah, there's not. I don't know.
Okay.
And then I've done like really just stupid stuff on there. Just
I'm pretty sure any question I want to ask it will probably make it shut itself down. So, but
well, that's why you get llama, so or alpaca, whatever it is, the one from oh gosh, what is it? It's the one that you can download and run on a MacBook.
oh, okay. Mine would be, how do I get 1,000 people to
From
join our
Alpha?
Twitch? And then it'll be like, I don't know how to do that, Brian. And then it'll be like, oh, so
I think it's
yeah. So wait, you said there's a Chat GPT like for at least a Mac? Is that because Mac is better, or hey, Arcano 64?
There we go.
It's from Meta. Oh,
yeah.
Llama.
And there's alpaca too. I thought one was from like not from Meta, but from someone else.
GPT on your local computer. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Wonder how that works. If I had a Mac, I'd use it, but I no longer own Macs because, you know, I don't need one.
Oh, it's the same article I was posting. Yeah, but I know somebody that is using that, and it's so ChatGPT has like limits, right?
Uh-huh.
Like moral and like legal limits.
Right.
These do not.
Oh.
No, this everything.
So you mean if if I asked ChatGPT, hey, where would I like to bury a body or something, it would be like,
It would say,
hey,
no.
I'm sorry, Brian, I'd love to not help you be an accessory to murder.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, but these do not. You just download it locally and then do it.
Brian, it sounds like you're trying to commit a crime. I probably should let law enforcement know
It's
that.
yeah, no, it's like Clippy for AI.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And this works on only Mac, or it says the source code's been leaked.
From what I hear.
NPX Dalai Lama install 7B. 31 gig on your computer. Okay, that's nothing. Dalai Lama serve. There you go. It's become easy to run a large language model on your local computer. I'm really amazed. Huh. Okay.
Yep. I've had it fix wording for me. Like I had to send something, and I was at a loss for words to make it sound any more professional sounding. So I just took what I had and I'm like, make this sound more professional. And I copied what I had in there, and it made it sound like I was not an idiot.
Is that what?
No. I would never do
that. Sorry, I asked Ms. Berlin. I asked Ms. Berlin a question in chat because I was like, oh, I better not say that out loud.
However, I did have my 11-year-old ask me if I could have that computer thing write his rough draft of his report for him for school.
Oh my.
And even if I ask it to sound like an 11-year-old, it does not. It sounds like what an adult would want an 11-year-old to sound like as an answer, right? But if anybody has had kids, you're like, oh God, I know you could do better than that. Like, you know bigger words than that. You know how to create better sentences than that.
Right.
So it was like, yeah, the example of what an adult would think an 11-year-old would say that doesn't have actual kids.
Wow. Yeah. It's unfortunate this was leaked. I wonder if there's any way can it be improved, or is it just kind of stuck where it's at unless you actually know large language models? And
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's a link in the show notes. There's a link in chat. There's you can go and poke around on Llama. Especially if you have a Mac, and you can do that. So try not to use it to write your doctoral dissertations, or use it for work. or you know, if you're a PR person, try not to get caught, you know, using Chat GPT for that. So,
I have to tell you, it has been better than some ghostwriters.
really,
Yes.
oh my God, that's crazy.
Like I would never just copy and paste something and use it as my own, right? But it's a good like foundation
Do you use it for
if you
fact
need a
checking,
bunch
maybe?
if you need a bunch of filler. What did I ask it the other day? We were talking about group like brother and sister fish. That's me why. It was a work conversation too. So like Emily, who's been on the show,
Right.
loves fish. She has fish as pets and stuff. And
Okay.
she was talking about like these two fish that were like siblings. And I'm like, well, what's that called? Like a family of fish. It's like not really a school, because a school of fish, they're not all related
Right.
necessarily. So like
Like
what's that called?
like a whale pod or something like that. where they're all
Right.
related?
Like when it's a guppy, like what is it called? So I asked, and like I don't remember. It was something I've never heard of before. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Very cool. Right on.
It's a weird
Well,
question. I talk to it all the time. Better than Google sometimes.
yeah, I never use my thing over there. You know, I just have it turn the lights on and off, and that's about all I do. But I'm afraid to ask it a question because I don't search the way that I, you know, search in browser that I do on that thing because I don't.
Right.
It's easy. I have a bookmark that I can go and look at the weather. So
Oh no,
yeah.
I ask it the weather all the time. I do the lights. I do the time. I set timers on it all the time.
Oh yeah.
I have
Okay.
like my kids' wake up routines because one of them doesn't wake up super well. So it's like turn the light to 100% brightness and do a bugle call and a lion roar and like 20 minutes of hard rock. And
20 minutes.
I'm not joking.
Nice. Nice.
Still doesn't get up in the morning.
Okay. I'm out of stuff to talk about because it was a really boring week for news other than the 3CX thing.
Yeah, kind of. We do have people that are going to come on as guests soon though, right?
Yes. Oh yeah, I have a couple.
I saw the email and then I think I've been trying to get more people because Blumera wants to sponsor again, right? And
right.
I've been trying to get more people that I really enjoy talking to at work to come on and talk about stuff. Like it doesn't have to be like purely security. Like I was talking to like one of our senior devs. I'm like, please come talk. Like you've been doing like this geeky shit like your whole life. Like come talk about something cool.
Yeah, one of the things I don't know if y'all would be cool with that would be getting one of your customers to come on. Kind of like how I've seen with Risky Business, where it'd be like have one of your customers come on and talk about your product, how awesome it is, or something like that. I wanted to talk to the marketing person about potentially doing something like that.
That's a great idea.
We're pulling the curtain back a little bit here. We're engaging with Blumera to come on and do some more sponsored shows with us and maybe doing a quick 20-second spot, kind of like a real podcast does where they have spots and things. Because Twitch, it's like, unless you want me to talk about the new Apex Legends game, which doesn't make any damn sense on an InfoSec podcast, I can make $600 if people actually click on the links, but nobody will click on the links. So it's like Twitch is not conducive to InfoSec people. So, I like Risky Business's approach. I don't like the worship of, folks that he enjoys, like, what's his name? Anyway, that'll just make me enemies. So,
I do like the idea of customers. I also, I was on, have you ever heard of 7-Minute Security?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. So like I was on Brian's podcast a couple times. And because he did something he had never heard of Blumera before, and then like somebody told him about it, and he did like this whole thing. So that was cool. And he's actually helped me come up with a couple different detection ideas. So it was super nice. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I would like, maybe we can talk with the marketing person about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we do have another potential interview coming up. I don't know if it'll be on a Sunday night. It may be during the week kind of thing. It all depends on if I am trying to stream and then somebody wants to see our house in the middle of the week at like 5 in the afternoon. It's like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's funny. So I'm going back to security, and I'm equating a lot of the stuff that I'm doing here in my house to security, and it's like 75% of our house is packed out, and we have to stage the house, which is some social engineering shit to make people want to buy our house based on an idea that this is the perfect house for them with nothing in it. It's all echoey and shit, and all my stuff is packed out. But every time we leave to go show the house, we have to set up our house exactly as we want it, and how the ideal placement is for things.
Which
And
sucks when you're living in it.
right, right. And we've got it down to a process where it's like, okay, we have to move the couch. And oh yeah, we have to, put all the placemats into place. And oh yeah, we have to put the grapes out on the charcuterie board with next to the glass of wine with the two glasses. And oh, upstairs we have to take the blanket off of
Oh
the
my gosh.
staged bed. And because we're living in the guest bedroom on one of our memory foam mattresses, because we've basically tossed out all of our bedroom stuff. So it's interesting where we're getting a process down to where we can minimize the impact there, and not have to worry about making things ready to go. So if somebody calls us and says, hey, can you let us see the house in 30 minutes, we'll be like, step one, step two, step three, step four, kick the cats into the guest bedroom and lock the door and put the sign on the door that says don't open this door, and lock.
So how does that tie to security?
Getting a well managed process down, being able,
Okay.
incident response playbooks, for instance.
Okay.
After you've done a few tabletops, it's like, okay, this thing has happened. How do we respond to this? And it's like, we have the 1 and the 2 and the 3, and we need to do this. And
I didn't know if it kind of made me think of a couple customers, not that we currently have, but like in previous roles I've had, where all right, they know that they have a QSA coming in to do an assessment, so they're going to take these devices off the network
that sounds
because they're cleaning up, right? You clean up for when company comes over. That's what it made me think of. Terrible, absolutely terrible, but people do it.
oh yeah, I mean, you're sweeping the dirt under the rug at that
Yeah,
point,
yeah.
and then it's like, oh,
Right.
now they've left, it's safe. Okay, we can put everything back on. Turn everything back on.
Right.
The end of life Cisco stuff, and all that, and the box that goes bing and whatever. The problem is if they actually got owned up and it was the QSA who came in and did that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you might actually have the reason why a lot of companies aren't PCI compliant after the investigation. It's like, oh, well, they had this box on the network that was end of life, end of service 5 years ago. Well, yeah, it wasn't there when the QSA came in and looked at it because it was taken offline.
Like, oh, it must have just, rebooted when you were here or something. Like, can you imagine getting breached and having to explain that?
I mean, they do all the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a thing. So Mr. Boettcher, I want to get in. I want to get you in on some conversation too. But I have this thing at work. I'm doing some process improvement, and so some of this stuff I'm coming up with is also that as well. But we're working on our security review process, and up until this point, it's been the same system for about the last half decade or what have you. And we're changing up how we're doing security reviews. And what I'm trying to get people to understand is that a security review for us is a trust exercise. The teams who are putting out a product, whether it be an app, a service, a mobile device, whatever it is they do, and this applies to anybody, not just my organization. They have to go through a security review process, which means, they have a threat model, they do some risks, they log those risks, they get a pen test for the thing or a security assessment. I don't like calling them pen tests, but that's what everybody's been calling them the last decade. And I'm trying to get people to the point where the teams themselves can certify or at least review the application, go through the security review process and certify things with just a light touch from, a security person. And it's hard to change a process that has been so ingrained in an organization. We've engaged this team because they're putting out a product, and it's like we have different surveys or questionnaires based on these things, and I'm not giving anything away really by doing any of this. But it's like the resistance that I'm getting from these teams is like, I want them to do this with me because it's a pilot program, it's brand new, and I need their help to improve the process. And I'm trying to give them expectations about, this is an iterative process. What you're doing now may not be exactly the same the next time, but we need your feedback, we need your help to make this happen. So I'm trying to appeal to their their ego in this case. Like, I can't do this without you. I need your help. And the resistance that I'm getting is nothing short of legendary. Where it's like, well, have you done X, Y, and Z? Has there been any other teams to go through this? I was like, no, you're the first, and you're going to be the best person, and we're going to help you do this. And then they're like, yeah, we're not, we don't really need, we're not ready to do that just yet. So for those of you on the audio podcast, Miss Berlin picked up a book and slowly raised up the "Who Moved My Cheese." I've gone through process improvement classes, change management courses. Resistance management is something that comes in with the ProSci stuff. But the thing is, the new process that I'm trying to head up is something that is coming. There is no choice. They're going down this tunnel, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm like, look, your thing launches in October. You actually start the old process about 3 months before that. I'm coming to you now in April before, the June timeframe to walk you through, like white glove this thing through. And I'm coming to you early because I know that this may take a little extra time, but I want to make sure that you have the dedicated resource to do this. Instead of when you get to June and you find out, it's a brand new process and you have no choice now but to do it. And the resistance is just nuts. And it's going to come out to that. It's going to come out to where it's going to be June, and my ass is going to be mentally checked out because I'm going to be in San Diego. And we're going to have these people coming to us going, oh my God, we need to do the security review process. I'm like, yeah. So it's difficult. Mr. Boettcher, my question to you. What do I do? What if you were me, what would you do?
Well, do you have any compliance standards you can fall back on?
In this case, no.
Okay. Do you have the backing of your security management, like maybe your CISA or whatever level needs to happen?
Yes, the security review process in this case is often a blocker, a launch blocker, if you do not do it, unless you get a risk acceptance by your by your level, the levels above you, your manager, your skips, your CISOs, what have you.
Did you tell them in no uncertain terms that if they don't do this and do it correctly, it could not launch? I mean, this is like a showstopper.
You have to check these boxes and go through this process, or it's not certified or approved or whatever to launch.
I did engage with them that. I did tell them, because the old process is still possible until June. They were under the, I mean, yes, that's why I said they want to go through the old process, but I was like, you're going to be hitting that like at the end of June, which is exactly when the old process is going to go away. And okay, yeah, got to be careful about where I'm stepping on this because I'm just about to step in a big old pile of dog shit at this point. My worry is that, and I'm trying not to be the Department of No at this point, And I'm trying to give them options. I'm trying to give them an out. I have escalated to my boss. I've escalated to my other boss. I have 5 bosses, Bob. You know, I've set expectations of what I expect is going to happen. Where they're going to say, "No, I don't want to do this right now." And I have other services and other teams that I'm talking to that are a bit more amenable to this. But the minute we announce this new process, because we're still in pilot, the minute we announce this, we're going to get a ton of people coming in, and the people that I've talked to that's had super resistance, they're very important to. They're very important. I'm not going to explain how or why, but I want them involved because they're like almost like a linchpin to the whole system. And I tried to appeal to their ego. I tried to say, hey, you know, you're the only ones who can help us. You know, your feedback would be very invaluable to the other systems,
like a champion.
Right.
You're
right.
trying to get,
Right. You know, we'll give you cool stuff. You know, you get some nice swag. You get a T-shirt, a water bottle, and God knows what. I don't know. I can't promise them that. But it's just interesting the process here, because the other thing we're like, you know, their feedback was, how did we not know about this? And you know, yes, communication has not been good. They weren't aware that the old process was going away. They weren't aware of any new process replacing it, which is fine. They also said, hey, you should probably reach out earlier in the process. And I said, okay, but your PMO or your PDP process, you know, the process to actually create a product or a thing or a service or whatever is like 18 months long sometimes. And it's like, well, when in this process do you want to hit? Because right now you hit here at like month 14 or 15 of 18. And I was like, where do you want me to hit from like idea or launch? It's like right here. And I'm putting my hands out for those of you in the you know, podcast. Think of it like a timeline or whatever. And they're like, well, do it around the time that we get done with our BRDs, our business requirements doc. And I was like, okay, so it's about month 4, month 5. And I was like, that's great. What do you do about the stuff already in the pipeline? What do you do about the stuff that's going to launch in October? And I was like, y'all got to do this stuff. We can't go back to dev commit or whatever it is on your product. So we're going to need to do yours. And I was like, I'm here. I will walk you through the process. I will do that. And it's like, yeah, you can do it now when it's at your leisure, or you can do it in 3 months when it's an absolute necessity.
Just make sure that is in an email.
I sent an yes.
Yeah, and
Friday
you
morning,
save that,
reiterating that.
And you save that because when the shit hits the fan, you don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, send them another one, and I like your phrasing earlier. My worry is that this is going to be a blocker for you at the very end.
Right.
Because you just want it to go away, and it's not going away.
Yeah.
I'm here to help, but we need time.
Yeah. My real actual worry is that they're going to blame us for it being a brand new product or service and process as to why their stuff didn't ship. Mm-hmm. And that's why I was hedging my bets with my management and my other management and my other management, and sending out the email, because it was like, in 4 months when they come to me and they're like, oh, I didn't even know anything about this, I'll be like, here's the email I sent you, here's the meeting we had.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to matter, because it's all about their army can defeat your army, right?
Right.
Yeah. And they're banking on that. They're
right.
They're just gambling. Right. They think they're going to win this battle. Okay.
Well, I mean, they will, but they're going to be beat up because they can launch. They just need to make sure that they get their risk acceptance process in place. And everybody should have a risk acceptance process. I don't think security should ever be a blocker in things, no matter what you're releasing or launching. We should be consulted and informed, not responsible and accountable. I was talking about this on Tuesday when I wasn't, or Wednesday? It was a day where I was feeling kind of shitty, and some people came to my rescue. I like to thank MT Taggart and Triplexity and folks for coming in and hanging out with me, because I was feeling a little like upset. But I think as security people, we take too much upon ourselves. We assume that if they don't do it our way, that we internalize that, and it's like we failed. And if it goes out and it doesn't have any of the suggestions that we have suggested, I don't know, we internalize it, but I think that's how InfoSec people kind of get our mentality or get our thought process in place. We get our pessimism. It's like, they're not going to secure that thing, so why try? And then it kind of wears on us mentally. And I think if we don't internalize that and just go, okay, as long as there's a risk acceptance process and there's evidence that we can show that, hey, we in good faith we acted with you to make sure that this thing didn't suck, or it sucked less, or what have you. We don't have to internalize that by going, oh, they didn't care about our they didn't care about our opinion anyway because they didn't change anything or they didn't fix anything. I think we have to let go of some of that mentality, right? Where we think it's our way or the highway. Mr. Boettcher, you and I worked on some of this with PCI. It was like we used PCI and everything was everything was a nail. And we were like, you will do this because PCI says so. I think we were wrong back then, sir. And I apologize for saying that, but I think we were wrong by doing so, by not being able to work with teams to go, you can do it the wrong way, but we need to make sure that there's proper risk acceptance in place. And it's not a my way or a highway kind of thing. You and me and John, I think, probably had a lot of conversations where it was like, they're going to do this. And we're like, yeah, I don't think we were right back then. I think we may have screwed up.
Well, we did take the basics though for PCI,
right.
and
right.
we wouldn't have passed legally. I mean, I don't know.
I think statute.
Could we have bought the auditor some hookers and maybe passed that way? I guess, but that wouldn't have been the right way to do it.
Guess you depends on who you talk to.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Supporting small businesses.
Yeah. I don't know. I was telling my manager this just a couple of days ago, during my one-on-one with him. Is like the further and further that I've been taking my Harvard business classes, and I've almost got my specialization certificate and stuff. And it's like, the more of those management classes I take, the more I realize why management and people like product managers and folks do the shit that they do. And we've talked about this before. There's no reputation damage. There's, a breach or whatever because of a software supply chain security issue. There's none of that anymore because the PR folks have got it down to a science.
Nation state, nothing we could do.
Right. I mean, and the way the media cycle goes these days, the only people who are outraged are InfoSec Twitter. Nobody gives a shit about InfoSec Twitter.
Right.
Sorry, InfoSec Twitter. Nobody gives a shit about us. Okay. So, GTFO, you know what I mean? And PR people they've run circles around us. I mean, they can control the narrative far better than InfoSec people can. And we don't leverage them. We should, but we don't. Anyway, that's my rantiness for the day. But yeah, sometimes I'm on Mastodon a little bit, and I see some hot takes on there that they kind of help write themselves on my Tuesdays and my Friday stuff. It's like, somebody saying, hey, just patch. And, I had a whole big screed about, just patching the other day, or, just do this. And, all you have to do is, and I'm like, look, people who say that shit don't know what it actually takes to solve a problem. They assume whatever worked for them will work for everyone, and it doesn't. That's not the way it is. So some of these things write themselves. So, but yeah, I think we can go. We're not going to be here for the next couple of weeks. I apologize for those of you looking for a podcast in the next 2 weeks. I may record something on next week, depending on what our schedule is like between showings. But we'll probably do a podcast again, probably the end of end of May or end of April. So, Mr. Boettcher, Ms. Berlin, anything from you? Anything else that we want to talk about? Any places you're going to be attending, conferences, speaking at? RSA is coming up, yeah?
I will be at RSA. And if anybody listening is going, we are having a party with Lima
Okay.
Charlie. Yeah, Blumir and Lima Charlie's having a party. So I have a link, and my marketing people want me to invite others. So
Okay. What's a Lima Charlie?
Lima Charlie is an endpoint agent. That's who we use for we have a Blumira agent, and Lima Charlie's the back end for it. So it's like XDR-ish.
Okay. Cool. All right. So there's the party at RSA, and Miss Berlin will be there. Bottle service.
Oh, we'll also be bottle service. Well, also the mental health hackers will be at B-Sides Charm, Hackspace Con, B-Sides Nashville,
Wow.
and probably a couple others if I can find volunteers.
Cool. Okay. Very cool. Mr. Boettcher, is B-Sides Austin's coming up or happened?
Yeah, I think so. I believe last time we checked, the website was not updated, but I think it's on. Let me
Okay.
check. I
May
will
5th?
probably be there.
Yeah, 5th of May. Thursday and a Friday? Okay. It's on a Friday. That's an interesting time. Cinco de Mayo in downtown Austin near 4th Street. Sure, that's legit.
Black Hills is a sponsor.
Wow. Matt Pardo's going to be the keynote. Adapting Humans to the Future, the Role of Humans in the Age of AI. Damon Small and Jeremy Arthur. Balcones. Why Spoof When You Can Own. Dominic Lutz. Let me see. Bypassing client-side posture checks. Patch and hook your way to network access. Nick Powers. Okay. So it's a one-day event on Cinco de Mayo. And, Matt Pardo's the MC. He's master of ceremony, so he's doing opening and closing remarks. Looks like there's a lot of good stuff on here. So, I mean, if you're in the Austin area or in the area where you can fly down to ATX, go check that out. So, yeah, there's a link to B-Sides Austin's schedule. I don't know where it's located though. Location. There's location. It is. Okay. It's in the JJ Pickle Research Campus. Okay, that's it's on Burnett, 10,100 Burnett Road. So, interesting. So it's not going to be near 4th Street. That's cool because you don't want to be on 4th Street during Cinco de Mayo. That's probably not a good time. Cool. Right on. All right. How would people find you online? I know it's in our show notes, but let people know. I appreciate our one viewer. Awesome. Thank you for being here the whole time.
log-md.com.
Yeah.
log-md.com. Ms. Berlin.
At InfoSyster. INFOSYS. Yeah, on the InfoSec Exchange on Mastodon and Twitter still.
Cool. Yep. Oh, thank you, Archon 064. Appreciate you for being here and sticking through with us the whole time. So, awesome for you. Thank you so much. Oh, and also thank you to Digital Warhead for subscribing for the last 13 months. Pico Pixel Code TV followed us, and of course Super Lolly, who probably at work right now in Indonesia, because that's where he works. So Super Lolly, shout out to you. All right, well, that's it for this podcast and Twitch stream. Hope everyone has a. Oh, that's fine, Archon64. I'm also a listener who likes to lurk, but unfortunately I have to be in front of the camera. So, anyway, all right, that was it for this podcast. Hope everyone has a great week. Take care of one another. Think about your mental health. Get out. Starting to hit the spring, so maybe try to get out and get away from the computer for 30 minutes or something. Take a walk, listen to some music. Maybe not a security podcast. There's something different. And, just generally take care of yourself. Because as we're fond of saying here, you're the only you have. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.